can find a game where in the fourth quarter with the game on the line, there was an opponent that didn't have to throw the football. They always have to drop back and throw the football. And guess what? It's coming. It may not have come in the first or the second quarter. Maybe it didn't get there in the third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, it's coming, and it's coming faster and harder than anybody else can bring the pass rush. And every single tight game, it's Benito or Allen or Cooper or Ellis that makes a play and gets to a quarterback. And it wrecks an entire series. And games flip, especially when you're playing in this environment when the fans go absolutely out of their mind when one of those defensive plays happens.
And they come up big in those moments. And the best part is late in the game when you got to throw the ball against the Broncos, your quarterback could be on the sideline and says, I'm really worried about that guy. And they're like, Benito? No. Cooper? No. Allen? No. Who? Surtain. Oh, right, that guy. What about the middle of the field? Oh, that's right. They got Dre Greenlaw back. So it's who's going to come up. It's one of those. There's sharks all around this defense, and they've learned what the Shanahan teams really had, which was really, really cool, was everybody just patiently waits their turn to make a play. Nobody's trying to say, this is my moment. Why isn't this being called for me? Why can't we dial up the blitz for me? Why can't we dial up the throw to me? Every player on this team knows if I do what I'm asked, my opportunity to be the reason we win will come, and that's why we continually see everybody make plays. And when that one guy makes a play, the entire team rushes over to him because it's all about them. Nobody's trying to be the reason behind all of the success.
Yeah, I don't want to bring any bad vibes or karma to the room, but it's Josh McDaniels. Do your job and quit making bleep up. And they all do their job, right? It's exactly what it is. It's a super fun team to watch. It's a great environment to be in if you have a chance to either get down here today to Mile High Station, go to the game, or if you're able to make it to the Chargers game or any of the playoff games. It's fun, and sports should be fun. There's too much misery and heartbreak in sports, and we're having a chance to enjoy it when our team is providing a season that is really unlike any we've ever seen, as much as we want to try to draw the comparisons to 2015.
I think the Broncos are a team. I pointed it out with Belichick. Sean Payton, Belichick, they come from Parcells. I think this is a very Parcells thing. I think the Broncos focus on that game that day. I don't think they get too caught up in what happened before or what's going to happen after. I think they're very much focused on, okay, this is what we got to do to win today. With this Jacksonville team, though, as far as you're concerned, when the Broncos are looking, I don't think the Broncos take anybody lightly. Has this team kind of snuck up? They were in a division where the Colts were look at these guys, and then the Texans have kind of been something special. Is this a team that is just kind of snuck up and might be better than a lot of people? Everybody knows they're good, but they're even better than people think.
Yeah, they're definitely flying under the radar, and they're leveraging it. They're playing the no respect card. They're doing the videos on social media and telling it to the team and showing everybody. But I'm watching these college football playoff games the last couple of days, and like the way I see Jacksonville, the way I think most fans see Jacksonville, it's kind of like Texas Tech and Indiana. It's like, okay, yeah, they're good, but, like, we don't really believe they're going to win anything until they do. Right? I mean, maybe they can, but, I mean, come on, are they really going to beat Ohio State? Are they going to beat Georgia? Like, no, they're not going. And I think that's the way most people treat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, yeah, it's nice, good for them. And, they really built some momentum and turned it around and are on a strong foundation. And that's a great season for them, but they ain't winning. And I think that's the way most people feel about Jacksonville. It's up to the Jags to prove everybody is wrong. It's up to Trevor Lawrence to prove everybody was right about him as a can't-miss number one overall pick prospect and not the guy he's been up to this point in his career. So it's an interesting team. I think they definitely have the no respect Rodney Dangerfield card in their back pocket, even more so than the Broncos do.
Yeah, it's the one time this year where the Broncos aren't the more disrespected team. And I wonder, what's interesting to me about Jacksonville, and this may be answered today, and I don't know the answer to this question. 2 years ago, Sean Payton's first year, the Broncos get that nice five-game win streak where they got really good and they started to figure out they're onto something and the success is in the years to come? Or are they a team that was just a lot better? They got the better coaches. You talked with Mike Rice earlier. I'm interested to find out, are they the team that got the pieces in place this year and then next year they're out of here? Or is this a team that right now is legitimately going to get into the playoffs and make some noise?
I think they're definitely going to get into the plaweplayoffs.
Yeah,
I
think
don't
so,
know
too.
how much noise they're going to make. But again, the AFC is not at all what anybody expected it to be. We're not going to have Kansas City. We're not going to have Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. Who knows what Buffalo team is going to show up any given week and if they're in, right? We don't know if Baltimore is going to be in there. So there are a lot of things that are very unexpected as to how people thought this season would go in the AFC. So there's room and there's an opportunity. If Jacksonville comes in here and wins today, then they've got they are on a rocket ship of momentum going forward with a chance to do something in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll probably take the South if they win today. So there is, again, second straight week. Broncos playing a hot opponent with a lot on the line. But, Chad, this late in the year, who would have thought Broncos-Jaguars would have heavy playoff implications? Two red-hot teams, but that doesn't mean there's not a point to prove. And who has a point to prove? We'll get into that next.
Will the Broncos keep their win streak alive against the Jaguars? Will Denver move one step closer to securing the top seed in the AFC? We'll react to it all in the Fan Football Pregame Show, live on game day starting at the 2-minute warning. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Peyton Manning here. Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show. At Common Spirit Health, healing is quality care and human kindness. And my friends at Common Spirit are teaming up with their partners to spread human kindness and create healthy communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hi, it's me, Flo, here to tell you that with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, you get 24/7 protection.
To pick her up at the airport because her boyfriend is unreliable day.
Especially that day.
What about finding out that one of my pipes suddenly burst in my basement day?
Progressive has every day covered 24/7 with the Home and Auto Bundle. Also, you have a lot of bad days.
Oh no, that was all the same day.
At least you're covered with Progressive.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Hey folks, Stoke here from my friends at Embers Golf, your go-to spot for holiday shopping. That's right, gear up, save big, and surprise the golf fan in your family. Embers Golf is family-owned and customer-focused, so you know you're getting the best service and the best deals. I know, I got a full bag fitting from my guys over there, Trevor and Tate. I'm telling you, it was the absolute best. I love my new clubs that I got this year. Driver 3-wood, all my irons. What a golf year it's been. So don't wait, shop now at embersgolf.com. Embers Golf, where your passion meets a green.
So Pure Talk just had their best year ever and asked me if I'd like to thank their customers on their behalf for being so awesome. I said sure. It's important to say thanks, especially this time of year, which is why, as one of their many satisfied customers, I should probably thank Pure Talk first for keeping their customer service in this country and for providing hundreds of American jobs. I appreciate that. I also appreciate their Roundup program, which makes it easy to support America's Warrior Partnership and join the fight against veteran suicide. And I love that Pure Talk donated 1,000 hand-sewn Made-in-America flags to veterans around Independence Day. And of course, I really appreciate their generous support of my own foundation, MicroWorks, and their commitment to help us train the next generation of skilled workers. Having said all that, it's now my pleasure, on behalf of everyone at Pure Talk, to thank you sincerely for choosing to do business with an American wireless company that actually stands for something. And one more thing. Merry Christmas.
Hey, bro, weirdest thing is happening at the game. This guy sitting next to me says, "You're our good luck charm." Every time I crack a Bud Light, we score a touchdown. Now his entire family wants to buy me Bud Lights. I think I'm some kind of a football prophet. Talk soon. The team needs me.
Anything for Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Lexi, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. We'll help you find last-minute gifts that don't look last-minute, even if you're still planning to propose. At Shane Company, we'll show you perfect gifts at perfect prices, in stock and ready to give. Like hand-matched diamond studs, 14-karat gold chains, or the ultimate gift, a beautiful engagement ring. We have longer store hours, so you can skip the crowds and shop when you want, or visit us at shaneco.com. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus. It's time to skate your case.
More of me and less of you. My takes are better than yours.
So speak your truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And prove your point.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Here's John Davis and Chad Andrus with their point to prove.
All right, Chad, when you're on a million-game winning streak like the Broncos, it's hard to come out and say somebody's got to prove something that week. So a lot of times we look to the opponent in this segment now because it is very relevant, especially last week talking about Green Bay, Buffalo. But today with the Jaguars, you've got a point to prove.
Yeah, and this is an easy one for me. We've gone over it on multiple shows. I've said it for 3+ years now. It's Trevor Lawrence. It's a guy who was a can't-miss prospect, #1 consensus overall pick since he was a freshman at Clemson that was supposed to come in and dominate this league. And due to factors of being in a bad organization with Urban Meyer as his first head coach, with Doug Peterson as a head coach and dysfunction all around him, he's been terrible. And look, I'm not trying to trash Trevor Lawrence as a person or a player. His performance for what was expected of him was awful. He fumbled the ball incessantly. He threw picks. He made bad decisions. He didn't have a high completion percentage. He was a bad player until this season when Liam Cohen has come around and he has completely transformed that organization and he's transformed that offense and particularly his franchise quarterback. So the guy that the Jags have invested in, the guy that the Jags believed in, is finally starting to turn it around. He's won 5 straight games and he hasn't been turning the ball over. But to me, it's very much in the vein of how people are on the Bo Nix bandwagon after last week where he played against Green Bay. Yes, well, he did that one time. Well, Trevor Lawrence has done this for a month. Bo Nix has done it for a month. Like, that doesn't mean you've proven it to me that you are a top-tier quarterback in the NFL. You continue to have to prove that. And Trevor Lawrence has to put up or shut up for me. He's got to do it on the road against this defense and say, hey, we are the most overlooked team in the NFL, and we just went in there and kicked your butt, and we are now chasing the #1 seed in the AFC. That is not out of our grasp. I'm going to dictate how this goes. I'm going to make people come to me in the playoffs. I'm going to make a statement. So it's far and away easily Trevor Lawrence for me.
Yeah, the Jags can't get the 1 seed. When we talked about them flying under the radar, I don't think that's something anybody's really recognized, that they can get the 1 seed. As far as Trevor Lawrence, you're right. As far as can't-miss prospects, in the history of the NFL, it's been John Elway at the quarterback position. John Elway, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, and Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's the category he was placed in. That was a set it and forget it, you're going to have Super Bowls type draft pick. And you're right, they gave him Urban Meyer. I mean, that was one of the most just misguided picks ever. And then you go to Doug Peterson, and it hasn't worked. They get the right guy in Liam Cohen. Trevor Lawrence's season's been interesting. He's been doing it for a month, kind of like Bo. But it's been against some opponents, some opposing quarterbacks that do call certain things into question. They worked the Chargers, but Justin Herbert was hurt in that game, and I don't think played the whole game. It's been third-string quarterbacks with the Jets. I think with the Colts, they ended up with, was it Riley Leonard? Is that the guy? I don't mean to disrespect him, but last week Trevor Lawrence threw 5 touchdowns. He's tied for 6th most touchdowns in the NFL, but when 5 of them come against the New York Jets, it makes the overall stats look a little bit different. So I'm with you on that. I'm not trying to dog the guy. I'm just saying the performance against the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Texans is a lot different than the performance against these other teams, which anybody would be. They're top defenses. You're not going to play as well. So with that, yes, Trevor Lawrence, come in today, prove you can beat a top defense, prove that things have started to get in rhythm, that you guys are now in sync in this new offense, and he's got to come in here today. Everybody's watching. It's a marquee game of the afternoon and get a win.
Well, the last 2 months, in their last 7 games over 2 months, they've won 6 out of 7, but their wins are against the Raiders in London, against or maybe the Rams game was in London, but they were against the Raiders. They were against the Chargers without Justin Herbert, the Cardinals, Tennessee, Indianapolis without Daniel Jones, and the Jets last week. Their loss was against Houston. So, in those 6 of 7. So, how hot are they when they're playing legitimate competition? We're going to find that out today. They did put up a good fight in that game against Houston, but again, that was still, more than 40 days ago. Mm-hmm. They lost 36-29, but the Texans, the big difference in that game when Jacksonville beat them the first time at home when they went to Houston, the Texans sacked him 5 times. They only got him twice in the first game that the Texans lost. So big difference there when you're talking about playing on the road against the pass rush.
And I think for Trevor Lawrence today, too, and I'm a guy, when we first started doing this, I've always liked Trevor Lawrence. I always felt he could be good, and it has been kind of disheartening to see the struggles of him because I like him. I do like him, and I think he's a really good player. I think he's very capable. I think he can be really smart out there. The thing for him today that I think will be really important for Trevor Lawrence is if things get a little sideways, if you get sacked, if you throw a pick, how do you respond? Do you get right and do you march the team down the field like against Kansas City earlier this year? That was a really impressive win. Or does it start to look like it did the first half of the season, the first few seasons? Not so much the, and I'm not calling them front runners, but not so much when you're rolling, how do you respond? But if the Broncos kind of smack you in your mouth today, what does that response look like from Trevor Lawrence and the Jags as a whole?
Well, the one thing that is very curious to me is the biggest reason I was so rough on Trevor Lawrence early in his career. Yes, the coaching in the organization was pitiful and it failed him, but those things don't cause you to drop the football when you're hit. Maybe the protection schemes and the way the amount of times you get hit is impacted, but when you get hit, those things are not making the difference in you hanging onto the ball or dropping the ball. And he fumbled all the time.
Right.
Every time he got hit, he was just dropping balls, giving balls away, strip sacks left and right. The Broncos have an opportunity to prove he's still that guy. And a quarterback can hurt you a lot of other ways just besides throwing picks. He doesn't have to throw picks.
Right.
When he throws dirt balls that are incomplete, when he's not completing 60% of his passes, it's bad. And when he drops the ball when you hit him, you can have severe negative plays for your team even when you're not throwing interceptions.
You mentioned him and Bo Nix. They were both up for offense. They did. Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence tie for player. It was something weird. Whatever that. I don't even know who gives the award. Looking back at last week, who impressed you more, Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence?
It's got to be Bo because he played a legitimate opponent, and a lot of people were really high on their defense.
Yeah.
Right? Trevor Lawrence played the Jets.
Right.
And it's the Jets without Quinnen Williams or Sauce Gardner now. Not the Jets that Bo Nix played early in the season. So you have to consider the opponent in that situation. And, look, Bo played his best game as a professional quarterback last week.
Yeah.
It's hard to top that. I can't say Trevor Lawrence played his best game last week when he was 20 of 32. But, it was 10.3 yards per attempt. So, it was a good game. But let's take all things into consideration here. Bo did it against a team a lot of people had going to the Super Bowl, including you.
Yeah, I did. I had Green Bay going in, and 10 days ago I looked smart. And that has gone away. Chad, I'm going to give you one last point to prove. We've played the Jacksonville Jaguars a lot since 1996, but because of 1996, there's only one game Broncos country thinks about when the name Jaguars comes in. No disrespect to the organization, but the mention of Jaguars doesn't haunt a lot of organizations. It haunts the Denver Broncos. You lose a big game to the Jaguars, it's going to remind the fans of that one time in 96, the biggest win in the history of the Jaguars organization. 1996, Broncos 1 seed. Jags come in here, they upset them, keep the Broncos out of the Super Bowl. Just today, none of these players were around for that. Some of these players weren't born, I think, when that game happened.
Most of them, I would
but
guess.
For the sake of the Denver Broncos fans, Broncos country, you can't lose a big game at home to the Jags. You just can't.
I agree with you, John. I see it 100%. It's important. This guy's shaking his head right in front of us, right? It's super important. But, again, I go back to as much as we care about that stuff, none of these guys were born and they don't care. And there's probably a decent number of them that can't find Jacksonville on a map. Look, if they're not from Florida, they have no relation. They have no idea about the history of the franchise, what it means. Jacksonville's never been a primetime national TV darling where you're seeing them all the time. They've never been a threat. These guys do what they do in there every day, and they live in their own world, man. Everybody has their own reality. So as important as it is to all of us, they really don't care. It doesn't make a difference to them.
There's players in that locker room that may not even know that game happened and what it was.
They might not know Jacksonville was a team in '96.
Right. The Jags tweeted pictures of it today because it is the biggest win in their organization. But, no, it's going to be a good one. This Jaguars team is rolling. Trevor Lawrence is rolling. This is going to be another tough game for the Broncos. Cannot disrespect this opponent. It's the Fan Football Pregame Show. We go behind enemy lines with Michael D. Rocco, Jags reporter for ESPN, and we do that next.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. How about a New Year's resolution where the commitment takes just one day and yet the results last a lifetime? Address years of hair loss like I did with Dr. Tanya Pauls and Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment. Free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Life happens, and then debt happens. Your laptop dies when you need it most. A hospital bill hurts more than an injury. Enter End Credit Union with a free debt consultation and a plan built just for you. End is here to help you break the debt cycle and get your finances on track. Debt happens. End helps. Schedule your free consultation at end.com/coaching. Standard account and credit qualifications apply.
Most people don't think about their garage door until it stops working. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Don's Garage Door Service. A noisy garage door is a cry for help. Most repairs are simple, but if left untreated, they can turn into costly repairs. Your garage door works hard every day, and a little maintenance goes a long way. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. There's never a good time for your garage door to break, whether you're rushing to work or you're trying to get the kids to school. We know how much you rely on your garage door. That's why we offer same-day repairs, because life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Over 90,000 five-star reviews don't happen by accident. They happen by putting people first. Fixing your garage door is what we do, but making your life easier and your home safer is why we do it. Families trust us because we deliver, and we'd be honored to earn your trust too. From repairs to upgrades, call Don's Garage Door Service today.
The West isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And this January 10th through the 25th, the National Western Stock Show presented by Common Spirit Health brings the heart of the West to Denver. So saddle up for 16 days of rodeo action, family fun, and championship livestock. This is where tradition meets excitement. This is who we are. We are the West. Tickets available at nationalwestern.com.
Hey, the cold weather is here. Stoke here from my friends at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Has another company told you that you need a new furnace? Time to throw in the challenge flag. Rocks Heating and Air offers no obligation, free second opinions. And don't forget about heat pump rebates. They've never been better. Up to $13,500 only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already only made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway.
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND.
Football pregame show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
It's the Fan Football Pregame Show. We are down here at Mile High Station taking you up to kickoff for the Broncos and the Jaguars. We now go behind enemy lines with ESPN Jaguars reporter Mike DiRocco. Mike, thanks for joining us. We'll just dive right in here. It's a little upsetting this week for Broncos fans because we usually get to play the we're the most disrespected team in the NFL card. But the Jaguars, I think right now, take the crown on that one. They're playing really good. Just how disrespected is this Jaguars team right now?
You got to understand this thing about Jags fans and stuff. It's sort of like a permanent feeling of disrespect, I guess, around here. I think a lot of it stems from, the London stuff. People always thinking they're going to relocate and all that good stuff. But I'll tell you this, they're absolutely leaning into this thing in the locker room. Players talk about it. Obviously, you've seen the clips, Liam Cohen talking about it. And, they're using it. They're using it as motivation. Now, I think it's a little bit overblown, to be honest with you. But, look, whatever you got to use, I suppose, is fine to get things up. But, I mean, it's hard to sit here and logically go, well, they're 10-4. They've won 5 in a row. They've got wins over Kansas City. They've got wins over the Chargers. They just beat the crud out of the Jets and the Colts. This is a pretty good team. So, they're just manufacturing that, to be honest with you.
Mike, speaking of disrespect, I've been really hard on Trevor Lawrence, and probably simply because he was an all-time level prospect at the quarterback position, talking about one of the top 4 or 5 in the history of the league as a can't-miss guy. And then Jacksonville handed him Urban Meyer and Doug Peterson. How has the potential of Trevor Lawrence and the prince that was promised been developed now and really realized under Liam Cohen?
Well, 2 things, to be honest with you. One, the addition of Jacoby Myers. And it seems weird to think that, that is one of the major factors. But Trevor Lawrence said this a couple of weeks ago. He's like, hey, watching him run, I know what he's going to do. I can just tell what he's going to do, and he knows he's going to be where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. So that's a huge trust factor. And the Jags had issues with that earlier in the year. Guys were not where they were supposed to be. Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington at times, and they dropped a bunch of balls. They led the league in drops and still do, but they had 19 when they traded for Jacoby Myers. And the other thing is, Liam Cohen, after their loss to Houston, which they gave up, 19, they had a 19-point fourth-quarter lead and lost that game, said to Trevor Lawrence, hey, look, let it rip. Cut it loose. You just if you throw an interception, if you turn the ball over, we'll to the next level. And, part of it is he has a complete and total understanding of this offense. He's got the ability to change those plays at the line of scrimmage. Every single snap, there's 2 plays in the huddle called, so, yeah, they're ready to go if this one doesn't work. It took but there's also this element of, is the other shoe going to drop? Because we've seen Trevor Lawrence get hot before. He was hot in the second half of 22 and started out the first part of 2023 pretty hot, and then it all kind of went away. Injuries played a large role in that. But there's still this element of, is he going to stay on this hot streak, or is he going to get back to the quarterback that most everybody is used to seeing? And that remains to be seen. If there's a day where it's going to happen, I think it could be today.
We are talking to Mike DiRocco, ESPN Jaguars reporter on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. Mike, everybody's talking Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen's offense, but this Jags defense to me is really interesting. They get a lot of turnovers. I think it's 18 interceptions. Not a lot of sacks, but a lot of pressure, which can be as effective as sacks. Is this Jaguars defense not getting enough attention and credit for their contribution to the Jags having a really good season so far?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think the hot start at the beginning of the year, I think they had 14 turnovers forced in their first 3 games. That kind of put them on the map a little bit. And Anthony Campanile, first-year defensive coordinator, has got them rolling a little bit. They had a stretch in the middle of the season where it wasn't going great. They weren't getting a ton of pressure, and they weren't getting the turnovers. But they've done a really good job of limiting explosive plays against them, with the exception of maybe that Rams game. And they do get a lot of pressure. And, Trayvon Walker really hasn't had the kind of year that everyone thought he might, but he's still been pretty effective fighting through a knee injury and a hand injury. If there's a weakness with this group, I think it's the interior pass rush, even though Eric Armstead has played pretty well. They're just not a great team in terms of being playing in the red zone. Defensively, they're just the middle of the pack, so maybe that's an area that can be an issue that could rear its head going the rest of the way, because those possessions become so important. But for the most part, they've done a really good job of keeping this team in games at time while that offense has sort of trudged along. And now that the offense is rolling, and if you can play with a lead, that makes things so much easier on your defense.
Part of the reason that offense has exploded is they've really done a nice job protecting Trevor Lawrence. But I look back really over the last 2 months, he's been sacked 32 times on the season, but 19 of those came against Seattle, the Rams, and Houston. The profile of the Broncos pass rush is much more like those teams than it is the last 5 during the win streak. What do you expect from the offensive line and how they're going to scheme to protect against the pass rush today?
Well, ask Liam Cohen about it, because it's a little bit tougher to prepare. I mean, I know, it's Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson in Houston, and you've got to account for those guys. But with the Broncos, Benito's got, 12 and a half, but it comes from everywhere with those guys. And that's the big problem is you can't just sit there and say, okay, we'll help the 2 tackles. You got to worry about the stuff that's in the middle of the field and those 2 defensive lines. And to me, it's the key to this game. If the Jaguars can keep that pass rush off of Trevor Lawrence long enough, then they have a chance to win this game. But if it's not able to do that, and they've been susceptible in the middle of the field more so than at the tackle, both the tackles, and I think it's going to be Cole Van Lannon who starts today, by the way, at left tackle, and Anton Harrison at right tackle have done a pretty good job. But the interior has not held up at times, so I think that's where the game is going to be decided, to be honest with you.
And, Mike, one last one. I'm going to take us away from today's game real quick, because this is something that people in Colorado would be interested in. How would you view Travis Hunter's rookie season in Jacksonville? We know it ended short, but how well did they use Travis Hunter, and what do you think it looks like going forward for him?
I would call it a success from the standpoint of they figured out a way to get him on the field on both sides of the ball. Did it play out the way that they wanted to in the short time that he was available? No. They ended up using him way more on offense, I think, than they expected on defense. At the time of his injury, they had moved him up to the number 1 wide receiver role because of Brian Thomas Jr.'s struggles. So it's still an incomplete if you're asking me to grade it. I think it was a solid start, but it's hard to know how it would have evolved this year, whether, they had a bunch of injuries at corner. Would they have had to move him away from more offense and have him play more defense? That we just don't know how it worked. Now, they're committed to doing this again next year, but it'll be a sense of starting over again because they still don't have a real good feel for where he needs to play more. To be honest with you, I think everybody would agree he's probably more of a natural corner and has more of a chance, I think, to be an elite corner than a wide receiver. So logically, you would say play him more on that side of the ball and then try and figure out a way to work him in on offense. Which is sort of what, happened with Deion Sanders. But they're committed to getting him on both sides of the ball. So we're going to see in the spring when he's out and healthy, just how it kind of starts to play out in 2026.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go real quick, we were all left disappointed when the Cowboys came in here and Brandon Aubrey didn't get a chance at a 70-yarder. Cam Little get a chance at a 70-yarder today at elevation?
Liam Cohen says he's going to keep an eye on him during warm-ups and kind of make sure he has a good clue as to where the kid feels comfortable. And, I can tell you this, they're probably not going to hesitate inside of 65, depending on how that wind's blowing. I would not be surprised end of first half, or if it's a situation, where they need a field goal at the end to break a tie or whatever, that they let them take one from 68, 69, 70. It wouldn't shock me, but I think that would be not something they'd really want to do. I think they would do it if they had to.
Mike, in the late 90s, Jason Elam of the Broncos tied the NFL record for longest kick in NFL history against the Jaguars. Maybe the Jaguars get us back today. I hope not. But, Mike, it was so much fun having you on today. Really great insight on this Jaguars team. We really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That was Mike DiRocco, ESPN Jaguars reporter on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. A lot of great insight. We've talked a lot of Trevor Lawrence, but there's another quarterback in this game today, Chad. Bo Nix. What do we make of this last month? What do we make of last week's game? And can it be counted on going forward, starting today? Chad and I get into that next on the Fan Football Pregame Show.
Will the Broncos keep their win streak alive against the Jaguars? Will Denver move one step closer to securing the top seed in the AFC? We'll react to it all in the Fan Football Postgame Show, live on game day starting at the 2-minute warning. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Peyton Manning here. Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Cake Mortgage Corp. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 1734623. Licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. Are your bills keeping you up at night? Imagine using your home equity for a financial reset that helps you to finally get ahead again. At Cake Mortgage, we get it. Life's expensive. Insurance, groceries, and high-interest credit card debt. That's why we created the Cake Fast Cash Home Equity Program. Turn your home into your ATM without touching your existing mortgage rate. Cake Fast Cash is fast. Many clients close in 2 weeks, so call Cake today and pay down high-interest cards, free up cash, or fund home upgrades, and you only pay for what you use. Cake Mortgage. Your fresh-baked fast cash 0-850-0012 or visit cakehome.com.
What a wonderful time for family and friends, reflection, and planning forward. It's holiday time. Hi, Dan Cicchini, Done Right Home Improvements. Thinking of putting off that home makeover till after the holidays? Well, good, because opportunity is knocking. We'll help you plan forward with 16% holiday savings on your project or a great financing special to book now for installation after the festivities. Now is the time to get started. Todd?
You bet. First-class kitchen updates with our own custom-built cabinets or Done Right's unique cabinet refacing, elegant bathrooms, top-notch basement finishing, and the finest in replacement windows and doors. Our family's been serving Colorado for decades, and we'd love to serve you too. Call and book your project now to secure your 16% savings or a great financing special.
Thanks, Todd. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. 303-722-2295 or drhi.com.
Hey folks, Stoke here from my friends at Embers Golf, your go-to spot for holiday shopping. That's right, gear up, save big, and surprise the golf fan in your family. Embers Golf is family-owned and customer-focused, so you know you're getting the best service and the best deals. I know, I got a full bag fitting from my guys over there, Trevor and Tate. I'm telling you, it was the absolute best. I love my new clubs that I got this year. Driver 3-wood, all my irons. What a golf year it's been. So don't wait, shop now at embersgolf.com. Embers Golf, where your passion meets a greet.
Durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Hey everyone, this is Mark from Colorado Preferred Roofing, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. As we wrap up another year serving the Front Range, we're grateful for every homeowner, every handshake, and every roof we've had the honor to protect. From our entire CPR family to yours, may your holidays be warm, safe, and filled with joy. Merry Christmas, Colorado, and remember, when your home needs durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Colorado Preferred Roofing.
Enjoy this run to the playoffs and be safe when you're going to the games or to parties. If you do get into an accident, make the right call to Flanagan Law. While the other guys blend in, I stand out. Look for the Shamrock. Flanagan Law, your advocate when you need it most.
Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Fan Football Pregame Show. We are down here at Mile High Station. Before we dive in here, just some games that pertain to the Broncos, because the Broncos could conceivably get the 1 seed today. A lot would have to happen outside of a Broncos win. The Bills shockingly winning in Cleveland, up 10 on the Browns. The Dallas Cowboys down 17-24 to the Chargers, who are not out of it as far as winning the AFC West. I'm not saying the Chargers are the best team in the NFL, but they are by far and away the toughest team in the NFL.
And if they win the West, like, the number 1 seed is still in play for them too, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it all hinges on the Patriots losing. But, yes, I mean, if the Chargers beat out the Broncos for the division, they could conceivably be the number 1 seed. The Jags could still be the number 1 seed. So, as close as we are, we're not ready to unwrap that present yet.
Not yet. But if the Broncos are going to hang on to the 1 seed, make a push to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to continue to get great quarterback play from Bo Nix. At one point this year it was, at some point Bo Nix is going to have to play better. We've now fortunately reached a point where we need Bo Nix to continue to play great. I think last week you said it. I think everybody's in agreement. Bo Nix, 23 of 34, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns against Green Bay. His best game as a Bronco. Can he keep this going?
Yeah, it's been a really good month for Bo Nix, and last week was the best yet. It wasn't his most yards, it wasn't his highest completion percentage, but it was his best yards per attempt game per year. It was his best average adjusted yards gained per pass attempt of the year, and it was his best yards per catch of the year at 13.1, and far and away his best quarterback rating of 134.7. Didn't take any sacks, didn't put the ball in harm's way, even though there were a couple that were questionable off of tips that were available. Green Bay couldn't get to it. Broncos caught the brakes there. They took advantage of them. Given the opponent, given the circumstance, given the weight of the game last week, the environment, the amount of Packer fans that were here, the hype around that game, Michael Parsons coming in, that was the best game Bo Nix has played as a Bronco.
It was outstanding. And one thing that I'm not a huge stat guy, they do help explain things sometimes. The one thing that doesn't show up in the stats that I've always brought up, last week, more than any game, and we've seen it a lot from him, he was so timely with his greatness last week. When they needed Bo Nix to do something great last week, he did it. The fourth downs, just the conversions. That was really outstanding. And what I think from a larger standpoint, where that's coming from, Bo Nix's situational awareness and awareness on the field in the last month has changed. He now suddenly is constantly aware of not only where he is, but where everybody else is. And because of that, we've seen him be able to use that threat of his legs to bait defenders, to manipulate the defense, and to allow his receivers to get open. So it's not just he's more accurate, it's not just the play calls. Bo on the field is just hyper aware of not only himself, but where everybody else is at.
Well, the two things that stood out to me is I still don't think he's that elite level tier quarterback that throws a guy open in the tightest of window, but his ball placement last week on 3 plays in particular, the Sutton touchdown, the Sutton fourth down on the sideline, and the little Jordan Humphrey on the goal line when there were 3 white shirts around and he threw it low at the goal line, the only place where Humphrey could get it. Like, those 3 plays, the ball placement really stood out. And then the other thing, and this goes back to the point that Ryan Clark was making that got everybody in an uproar this week, is the Packers were chasing him constantly and no one could get close to catching him. So he was using his legs in a way that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. It's not rushing yards, but they didn't sack him. They couldn't get to him. When he got flushed out, he just ran away from everybody. Either threw the ball away or ran out of bounds or whatever the case may be. He didn't try to force something in. But that athleticism, and that was the point I think that Ryan Clark was trying to drive home in the nuance of what happened, right? But everybody just reads a headline and goes crazy.
His choice of words was clickbait.
But,
worthy.
you know, almost every time he got pressured, he flushed out to the right, and no one got close to getting a hand on him. And it's not anything that will ever show up in the stat sheet, but they are back-breaking plays because they keep drives sustained when you can get a completion or you can run for a couple yards and stay ahead of the chains, whatever the case may be. It really, really showed up in a huge way against a top-level defense.
And that's right. What doesn't show up on the stat sheet, and it's the way I always say you can really mentally break a team, is when the drive keeps going. Not the 70-yard bomb that you get behind the safety. It's we continually think we got them, and then we got to stay on the field.
Well, and to be honest with you, this is part of the reason why Trevor Lawrence was the chosen one since he was a freshman at Clemson. He made so many plays with his feet to keep drives alive and make plays that you couldn't stop their offense. It wasn't that he was just such an unbelievable accurate passer. It's just like he's going to beat you one way or the other. You can't account for everybody, and this guy's going to run. And it's a huge reason why he was the prospect that he was.
And so Bo coming in today, now it becomes, can you handle it? Can you take what you did last week and show that it wasn't an outlier? One thing I do like about Bo Nix, I like a lot about Bo Nix, is throughout the 2 years we've seen here, there's some resiliency. There's some adjustments. There's bounce backs. There's when he's counted out, and much like just the Sean Payton era in Denver in general, the second you're ready for the bottom to fall out, it doesn't. And you see improvement, and you see confidence grow. I'll be honest, I didn't know what we saw last week was possible this year. I thought it was possible, but the issues he was having I thought were off-season things that needed to be worked on. I don't know if it's been the play calling. I don't know if it's just that time off between the Raiders game, the 10-day bye week, and then beating the Chiefs. But his body language, everything is different with him out there. And I think that's what's happening, because what you're seeing is when he's able to bait the defenses, they take him seriously. He's not looked at as, we got no problem with Bo Nix. It's looked at now, if we don't do something, this guy is going to run for a touchdown. He's going to throw a touchdown. So we have to really pay attention to what this quarterback's doing. And when you've got the defensive coordinator up at night worrying about what you're going to do, you really have something there.
I think in the last month, the thing that has really changed, and I do think this was a little bit of a enlightening come-to-Jesus moment for Sean Payton and for Bo Nix together, is when Sean openly, publicly admitted that the game plan for the first Raiders game on the short week on Thursday night was awful. Since he has made that admission, going forward from that point, they've gone more double tight, more jumbo, more two-back sets. The offense has moved the ball, and Bo Nix has more time to throw than any other quarterback in the National Football League. Amazing. He has been protected better, longer than any other quarterback. Those are reasons why he has been able to be successful. It might look a little bit different. The footwork, the happy feet, the throwing off platform might be there if he doesn't have the time that a lot of other quarterbacks are facing, but he's got the time, and maybe he's just finally settled in and been convinced, like, you've got the time to do this. Just relax and do it. And the comfortability level of saying, look, these extra guys are here. What does it take to convince you we're blocking for you? Just do it the way we draw it up. Don't get in a hurry. And that is finally resonating with both the play caller and the quarterback, and it's come together and it's working.
And it's without J.K. Dobbins as well. That running game that was so effective early on, Bo's been able to do that without what was a top 5 running back in the NFL. And Bo has done a real favor for his coach, because we are not talking about his coach.
We're not talking about play calling. We're not talking about second down play calling. We're not talking about what he promised from his quarterback. No. We've got no questions left to answer for this team until they decide to provide us with more.
And with that, too, just how, I don't know if it's cool, but fun, or just whatever it is, to see that each play when he drops back to throw, you don't know where the ball's going to go. And I think that's another reason for this. We thought, did 4 different guys catch touchdowns last week for the Broncos? Yep. On those big plays, on those third downs, on those red zones, you really don't know where the Broncos are going to throw it. And each week it could be something. It was Evan Ingram against Washington. Last week it's Cortland Sutton. It could go to any different number of guys because they're all bought in.
And this is the evolution of the offense, the evolution of the season, because we sat here and talked about in the first month of the season how Jordan Love threw to 11 different targets in the first half of a game, and the Broncos threw to 4 guys, and Sutton had 80% of all the targets. And we're like, it's different. It's a lot easier to defend. And that was this season. We talked about that 3 months ago. So things change, things evolve, they grow into themselves, and they're in a really good spot right now.
And the opponent today is in the same spot. These are 2 offenses, 2 quarterbacks that were maligned, that were under heavy criticism, that have found a way 3/4 of the way through the end of this season to really catch fire, to look like they're going to be hot going into the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence on the other side of the ball. He struggled against top defenses this year. I have a concern for the Broncos. Is it founded? And I think it's got me worrying about today's game. Chad's going to tell me if I'm right or wrong. This is the Fan Football Pregame Show, and we'll get into that next.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zach here. The holidays will be here before you know it, and for many families, that means excitement, but also stress. Between gifts, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to my friends at American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees to find out if you qualify. Call American Financing at 303-695-7000 or visit them online at americanfinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Men, it's the holidays, the season of all kinds of hustle and bustle. But if your energy is down, if you aren't sleeping well, if your sex drive is MIA, and you just don't feel like the guy you once were, maybe it's tough to get excited for all the holiday cheer. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if this sounds like you may have low testosterone. And if so, this is the season for you to get treated. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating low T. If you're like most guys, you'll feel the change in just a few weeks. And truly, the results can be life-changing. You'll have improved mental clarity, your energy will kick up, your workouts will be better, your sleep patterns will improve, and your sex drive will likely heat up as well. So call us, and don't go through another season with low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The last thing you want is holiday cheer interrupted by plumbing issues. Whether it's a clogged drain, a water heater on the fritz, or frozen pipes, Copperhead Plumbing is available to make sure your holidays stay merry and bright. Hey, it's Mike Evans here. Don't let unexpected plumbing problems dampen your festivities. Call Copperhead Plumbing for fast, reliable service. Relax this season and leave the plumbing to Copperhead. Visit CopperheadPlumbingInc.com to learn more. Happy holidays from everyone at Copperhead Plumbing.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. You know, in the game of life, our most valuable asset is our health. With the right equipment, you can train like a pro. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer. I have a true treadmill at home. It's the smoothest and quietest I've ever been on.
For the fitness fanatic on your Christmas list, save big this holiday season. At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Spine One. Let me ask you a question. You live with back pain, neck pain. Well, my guys at Spine One, they're an emergency room for back pain with same-day appointments. They'll see you and they'll get the journey started. And that's exactly what I did. Whether it's chronic pain, acute pain, work-related, sports-related, doesn't matter. All you got to do is pick up the phone and start your journey just like I did toward pain-free. 303-367-2225. That's 303-367-BACK. Or as always, you can find them online at spineone.com.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... There, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. Tune You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
It's a Fan Football Pregame Show. We're at Mile High Station. It is hopping. Chad, you said this earlier. A lot of people don't work this week. The Broncos they're going to the playoffs. How that shakes out and where they sit, we don't yet know. But the excitement, everybody's really into this game. Some getting real into it before the game. Be careful there. Don't get thrown out of the stadium. Behave yourself today. Be responsible. But brought it up early. Want to bring it in. How cool is it to see this much excitement this late in the year?
It's a blast, man. It's so much fun right now with this football team because you know that history tells us, statistics tell us, the odds tell us they should probably lose another game. You don't know when it's going to be. NFL's a week-to-week league, but you wake up every day feeling good, like, well, they're going to win again. You can make an argument any given week, whether it's the Packers, whether it's the Jags, whether it's the Chargers in the last week of the season, right? Well, I think this is the week this team has got this advantage, and they can, you can make that argument, but you still come back to it's like, yeah, maybe, but nobody else has been able to do it. So you're just kind of throwing darts, hoping that you get the right week because you can't honestly make an argument and say, well, they're going to lose now because they just don't lose. It's like the Avalanche. They don't lose.
Right. The Avalanche, if you're going to beat us, it's not going to be in regulation.
Yeah, we're getting a point.
We're getting a point. The Avalanche, you brought up earlier, what a time to just be alive as a professional sports organization fan in Denver, Colorado. That said, Chad, I'm not pulling up stats because stats don't always tell you what your eyes tell you. Since the bye, this Broncos defense, as much as we celebrate it, as much as we like them, have looked not as dominant as maybe they did earlier in the year. I understand they had games against the Chargers, against the Colts, Giants for a long where they didn't look great. A lot of that was explainable. I'm concerned with the way Marcus Mariota moved the ball on him. I'm concerned with the fact that Geno Smith was the first quarterback to score a touchdown on the opening drive against his defense. And until they lost the right guard and Christian Watson, Jordan Love was doing what he wanted. They scored on every drive last week, and I think there's some scheme things there that little bit was by design. But overall, what you've seen since the bye, concerns about this Broncos defense?
I think there are two things that stand out to me. Number one is I was more excited about the addition of Dre Greenlaw than anything else from this offseason. And outside of that goal line stand in Houston where he made every play and every stop, right. I just haven't seen the impact I expected. And maybe I was overvaluing it. Maybe I was overrating it in Vance Joseph's defense. But I expected Greenlaw to have the impact the way Hufanga has had an impact.
Yeah.
But both of them to do it. I expected them to be such Tasmanian devil agents of chaos that the ball would be flying all over the field with them just wrecking people and, shrapnel every time there's a collision, right? That's what I expected. I just don't feel like I've seen that from Dre Greenlaw in this defense at the center. The other thing that is concerning from last week is the game turned when Pat Surtain made that pick and Christian Watson got hurt. The Packers had scored on every possession up to that point. And you can say, well, the defense stepped up and they made that play. There was no reason at all for Matt LaFleur to call that play. It was stupid.
It was. We texted about it. How it was basically we're up 2 scores on the road. Let's target Pat Surtain.
Yeah,
it was idiotic.
On a deep ball when we move the ball at will. Right?
Yeah, it was.
They
so
were
dumb.
just hell bent on doing that, and the entire game flipped from that point forward. So the opponent kind of assisted in giving you a little push to get going there. So I can see your concern on that level. When it comes to today's matchup, I think the one thing that stands out is Marcus Mariota looked like Heisman Mariota with his legs against the Broncos, and Trevor Lawrence has that same capability. So if he's able to extend drives with his legs and put them in tough positions, then you get back into a position of, okay, they're hurting us, but we've still got the best red zone defense in football. We've got to force them into 3 instead of 7 here. They've got a long range for 3. with Cam Little.
They do.
So, like, I can see that being a big concern. And honestly, what you're pointing to is the exact reason why this offseason the Broncos went away from everything the fans wanted when everyone was screaming for a tight end and wide receiver help. No, they drafted Janae Barrett. They signed Dre Greenlaw. They added Hufanga. They went all in on defense because of those problems last year when they couldn't get off the field against Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. You're seeing some of those same concerning things late in the season now. So, yeah, I think the concern's warranted.
And it's there in Green Bay last week. One thing that really drove me crazy, guys were wide open. I mean, guys were running so wide open, deep down the field, with room to run after catching the ball. And the Broncos were unable. You come out of halftime, and Jordan Love has what might be the best drive the Packers had all game out of halftime. It just, they had no answers. Pressure wasn't there when it needed to be. It took injuries. Therefore, it was great to see late in the game last week, but I didn't put a lot of stock into it, Garen, considering, like, imagine if we lost Bowles and Cortland Sutton and R.J. Harvey was hobbled. I mean, how good are we really going to play after that?
The one thing I will provide a little pushback in defense of the Broncos in that regard is they backed off of what they do in their strength because of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. They played more zone last week than they ever play, and it's not their strength. And that, I believe, led to those guys running more wide open than the man that they are so accustomed to playing that they dominate in. And I think when they sit back in zone on the back end, it also affects what they call up front to rush. Because I think they're just playing more to keep things in front of them and not go deep and not let those big plays happen. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt in that. But I think going forward, you have to learn the lesson and go, we can't back off of what our strength is based on what the numbers say the opponent can do against it. We got to go strength on strength, head-to-head, and see what happens.
And that's kind of funny about that you bring that up. We're talking Broncos-Packers last week. The defense looking having trouble early on. Is in the pregame show, I said I think they're going to try to keep it in front of them between the 20s. And then I'm watching the game, yelling upset that they're doing the thing that I predicted that they would do.
Yep.
And I said it was a key to the game. So I'm like, I predicted it. I said this is what you should do. But the issue was, Josh Jacobs' touchdown. There's times you got to tighten up and make a play. And that is kind of where the Dre Greenlaw, where some of these guys need to step up and somebody's got to make a play. Brandon Jones not being in there today. P.J. Locke got a lot of starting experience. It's going to be interesting to see if that changes the way the Broncos do things. I would say I hope not. It's the point you just made. When you're this good and this talented, you let the other team get you to stop before you stop doing it. I think it'll come out today. I don't think Brandon Jones being out affects the way they do things. I think a lot more aggressive push from the Broncos today, defensively.
I would say especially in a home game, right? Like, go ahead and trust what you've proven you're great at all year until proven otherwise. And if you have to switch it up in the flow of the game, then so be it. But don't start that way. Don't just concede and say, well, Jordan Love is carved up man, we can't play man. Like, you're better at man than anybody else. Like, let's do it. Let's go toe-to-toe and see what happens. And they didn't do that for the first half of the start of the third quarter. And, the Packers gave them a little bit of an assist to turn this game around when they tried to throw that deep ball.
And something else that I think we may have to live with. The Riley Moss PI might just happen every game. There's a reputation going on there. That was bad last week.
That was terrible. That was the worst one.
That was so bad. You shouldn't be calling that. And if you are, you need to return the favor, and we better see that on our side. I don't mind if you make bad calls. Just consistently make the bad calls. But that may happen. So I would tell fans, Riley Moss covered well last week. And he's covered well throughout the year. We've just had these PIs, and that's something that they're going to have to learn to manage. If Riley Moss gets a pass interference today, don't flip out because he is good in man coverage, and we want the Broncos to kind of stay where they're good because eventually you talk about the odds, you talk about just probabilities. When the Broncos do what they do on defense most, they will overcome things like that as they have all season.
The other thing I would look out for, I'm not going to call my shot, but just keep this in mind. Trevor Lawrence is not the most accurate passer and great at ball placement. So if the Broncos stick with man, And Moss has been on guys like glue. That's the reason why he gets so many penalties, is because he's there.
Right.
He's not leaving guys run wide open.
He can touch the guy.
He's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the ball is not placed perfectly, he's got an opportunity for another interception. And it's mind-boggling, as close and as tight as these guys cover, that Moss and Surtain both had their first pick last week, but I could easily see another one coming for one of those guys today.
I think so too, and I'll kind of counter some of my concerns here. The Broncos' front seven last week, while they may not have been in Jordan Love's face early on, you could clearly see he was conscious of them because he was inaccurate between 1 and 20 yards the whole game. Jordan Love was off on his throws. Now, he's a better deep thrower anyway, but with Trevor Lawrence too, sometimes that quarterback's just got to think you're coming, and that is enough to make it 6 inches off, and you get the pick. So I think that is something to watch out for the Broncos today with that. So, Chad, we talked about one guy, Brandon Jones. He will not play today, but there is a big name coming back to the Broncos, as well as updates on recently injured Denver Broncos. We get into our injury report. We'll do that next.
Peyton Manning here. Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show. At Common Spirit Health, healing is quality care and human kindness. And my friends at Common Spirit are teaming up with their partners to spread human kindness and create healthy communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Hi, I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where a small box with a burgundy bow will help you win the holidays. As an in-house designer, I love creating meaningful, fine jewelry gifts. Choose a necklace with a gorgeous infinity charm to symbolize your everlasting love. Or go for a personalized piece with an engraving, their zodiac sign, favorite color gemstone, or their initial accented with pave diamonds. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Stop by or shop now at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey guys, it's Mark Schlereth. I just made one of the best decisions of my life. I got rid of my glasses. I went to Cutarelli Vision and had refractive lens exchange, RLE. I wore glasses for distance vision, but I got to that inevitable point in life where I was always needing those reading glasses just to do about anything, and half the time I couldn't find them. Seeing menus, texting, reading my computer, or studying film, it was a struggle. But now I see the world perfectly, near and far, without any glasses, thanks to Cutarelli Vision RLE, the perfect permanent solution to spending your good active years not needing reading glasses. And here's the cherry on top. You'll never develop a cataract. Dr. Cutarelli is Colorado's most experienced with over 90,000 vision correction procedures. You can trust him to know if it's the right time for you and RLE. Schedule your free Zoom consultation at coloradorle.com. Cutarelli Vision RLE, no readers, glasses, or contacts, or cataracts. coloradorle.com.
Mike Rowe here with a random fact. More than half of the homes that have basements in North America will experience water damage. It's true. Whether it's basement moisture, flooding, or bowing walls, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule a free inspection with Groundworks, the foundation and waterproofing experts.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. What if more reliable didn't mean more expensive? With Xfinity, you can get reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi for less. We're talking intelligent gig speed Wi-Fi for $50 a month. This holiday season through January 4th, Xfinity is offering their best price on gig speed Wi-Fi, guaranteed for 5 years. No contracts, no strings attached. You could save $3,000 over Verizon and AT&T. Imagine getting super fast Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years. Get everything you need from Xfinity, their best Wi-Fi equipment, and even unlimited data, all included at their best price. Get ready to be wowed by your Wi-Fi. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-paid with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary. Savings based on promo and post-promo prices for 1 gig internet, 1 unlimited line, and Peacock Premium versus Verizon 1 gig internet and AT&T 1000 internet and 1 unlimited starter SL line.
Marketing can feel overwhelming. Where to start? What works? What doesn't? That's where your marketing experts at Denver Sports come in. Audio, video, online marketing, and we know how to cut through the noise so your customers finally hear your story. You don't have to waste time guessing or spinning your wheels. We'll guide you with a proven plan that turns your marketing into growth. Let us handle the hard part. You do the easy part. Head over to denversports.com and click Advertise with us and start growing your business today.
Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
Fan Football Pregame Show down here at Mile High Station. Seeing a little more Jaguars fans around here. Hopefully they go home upset today, but it's time for our...
you just going to say, hopefully they go home.
Yeah, hopefully, just stop there. Hopefully they go home. It's time for our injury report presented by Flanagan Law. Inactives today for the Jaguars. Running back, Bayshul Tootin, offensive lineman Chuma Idoga, tight end Hunter Long, defensive lineman Danny Strigo, and defensive tackle Mason Smith. So the big names going to be out there for the Jaguars today.
Yeah, pretty much same story for the Broncos. Sam Ehlinger, the third quarterback, again, newly signed. Running back Cody Schrader is inactive with Reese Taylor, Jerron Christian, Jordan Jackson, Savion Jones. The only big name, Justin Sternad, after leaving that game last week against Green Bay and being helped off the field, is on the inactive report today for Denver. So largely healthy, meaning Ben Powers is back.
Right. It's the names not on the list that are most interesting for the Broncos. One thing... Get into the offense here in a second. Get into some of those names that are there. But Sternad, while not a quote-unquote starter, started about half the season. I think played well. Vastly improved from last year. And Brandon Jones. So two guys that is popular as this Broncos defense has been, two guys that kind of quietly played big roles in that today. That's something to look out for with this Broncos defense.
Yeah, I thought Sternad's first probably 6 weeks of the season, it was like, wow, like this guy really improved and made a jump. He was all over the place when Dre Greenlaw was out, and he was getting a ton of snaps. He was outstanding. Brandon Jones, I thought, early as well, made some huge, big plays early in this season. I thought maybe since the bye week, when we've had concerns with that defense, things have slipped off a little bit on that back end. Hufanga takes so much spotlight and makes so many game-changing plays from that position. Brandon Jones oftentimes goes largely unnoticed, especially when they leave Surtain and Riley Moss by themselves. You're never seeing safety help over the top where guys can run into the play and make a pick. So it'll be interesting to see today. It's nice to know that they do have guys with experience behind them, whether it's P.J. Locke or whether it's even Key or Skinner getting into the game, whoever it may be. They're all guys that have played, so I think they'll be okay.
And there's also Jahdae Barron. You know, there's some flexibility, kind of a positionless player. Going to the offensive side, when we read the inactives, two names not on there that I think is exciting. Obviously, Ben Powers is back. While a guard coming back, you know, it's like, okay, a guard. You talked about this earlier. The flexibility this gives the Broncos in their play calling, because now Palczewski can be used jumbo. So you now have 6 starting caliber offensive linemen potentially in there on one package. Could help the Broncos with a run game that we would have liked to have gotten more from with R.J. Harvey since Dobbins has been out.
Yeah, no offense to Frank Crum. I think he played well when he got in there as that extra lineman, and we all know that 41-year-old Mercedes Lewis has been a key addition in being able to block. But since he's joined the team, since they've gone to more of those double tight sets, those jumbo lineman sets, and those two-back sets, the offense has picked up the pace and the quarterback play has been better. It's an inarguable point. I've been asking for this. I'm not kidding, John. This has been a topic of discussion since VJ was the head coach in their refusal to play this way. And, you know, through VJ, through Fangio, through Hackett, through Sean Early, wanting to go 4 wide, wanting to do all these things with receivers and throwing the football. And, like, they are so much better when they play with 2 tight ends or when they play with a fullback in their offensive execution and being able to sustain drives and move the football, and they refuse to do it for the better part of a decade. Now they're doing it, and the quarterback is playing as well as he's played in his 2 years here.
As well as any quarterbacks played in that decade, with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the best they've seen. I don't think if we would have told you earlier in the year, like, hey, guys, Nate Adkins and Palczewski is massive to this Broncos success, but it is. And that's why teams that make deep playoff runs, Super Bowl runs, 1 seed, it's the depth. It really is the depth. And I'll even loop back to every Super Bowl team the Broncos have had injuries. They've had guys had to step up. One of the biggest things to winning Super Bowl 50 was David Bruton was the backup to Darian Stewart and to T.J. Orton. They needed Bruton throughout that year. Hopefully we get that with P.J. Locke. Ryan Clady was down, and they had a pretty bad offensive line then. Right now, Palczewski steps in. Now you have Powers back. Now you have all this flexibility. Further depth, Sean goes and gets his guy, Lil Jordan Humphrey, who comes in, knows the playbook, has contributed really well. They didn't have Pat Bryant last week. Pat Bryant also not an inactive. He's been a big part of this kind of turnaround that the Broncos offense has had. Really happy to see him out there because now you've got 5 guys that the ball could legitimately go to anytime they're on the field.
I also think when you have the option of the and/or Bryant and Humphrey, those are 2 guys that stand out to me that really know how to find the soft spot and sit in a zone. And just kind of, that's what Jacksonville does. That's why they've created so many turnovers. Because they've always got 7 guys looking at the quarterback and where the ball is going. But these are 2 guys that I think, even Pat Bryant being a rookie, they have shown the ability to move to those soft spots and figure out how to make it work. And that's going to be a huge key today because there's going to be a lot of guys looking at Bo Nix and having a good beat on where he's wanting to go with the ball.
Yeah, they try to jump that route. With Pat Bryant, what he's kind of contributed is Sean loves for Bo to get rid of the ball quick. We've seen that with these maddening swing passes and screens. Those have kind of gone away because Lil Jordan Humphrey and Pat Bryant allow the quick throw, but it's a slant. And they're catching the ball down the field. Even if it's 3 yards, that's better than 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. We've kind of seen that frustrating screen game. We've seen that go away, and they can be a little more selective and strategic with that. Now with Bryant and Lil Jordan Humphrey, and I said 5 guys. I'm not even mentioning Evan Ingram, who against the Raiders and against the Commanders. So a lot of things they can do there, and that also helps with that run game we're talking about when you go jumbo, because they now know they could get beat, and it's not automatically a run when they're in that jumbo package.
Yeah, and those 2 guys you mentioned, I'm going to hit on a little bit later in our keys to the game as well. But I do think it's important today for both Harvey and Ingram to show up, and I'll tell you why when we get to that.
We'll get to that later. And with that, no, the Broncos are playing healthy. They've got the depth there. They've got a lot that they can do just overall with the offensive line, with the creativity. Any of these injuries concern you, or the injury of Brandon Jones, I want to loop back to that. Does that concern you long-term with this Broncos team? Because they may not get him back. And we'll ask Mike Kliss in the next segment kind of what the latest is on that.
No, I mean, every team suffers massive injuries. You saw Micah Parsons go down last week. Christian Watson, you didn't know about for Green Bay, ended up playing yesterday in that Bears game. But every team is dealing with this. The Chargers are an infirmary unit and still on your heels. It's part of being in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And yes, they lost Powers for what I think was longer than what we had expected when he went out. Surtain missed a few games. We know Greenlaw was out at the start of the year. The Drew Sanders thing is still puzzling because it was the first 3 days of training camp, and there's been
and it was supposed to be. It wasn't. It wasn't season ending. Yeah, it was not that.
So they've had a few injuries. They haven't had any devastating injuries the way the Chargers have, or the Packers had last week, or some of the other teams around the league have had throughout the course of the year. So knock on wood. Hopefully they stay relatively healthy, but replacing one safety on this defense with all the other places it has, and it's a guy that has played before, I don't think you can point to that as being a huge point of concern. You just have to do the whole next man up thing and move forward.
One thing is the NFL decided, hey, those Thursday night games where everybody can get hurt because we're not giving you enough time off, they've got another one. So you get a win today. You got to go out and win today, stay healthy, and then be very good about how you go into that Chiefs game. I get that Mahomes isn't playing. I get all of that. There's still 53 professional football players that are going to be going against you. If you can get a win today to where you're not playing it right to the end and guys aren't on the field a lot, I think more so the offense can be on the field a lot. That's fine because that means you're sustaining drives, you're wearing down the Jags. You don't want the Broncos' defense on the field a lot because that's where guys can get hurt. That's where we saw them, DJ Jones with the Commanders. We start to see that happen because that Commanders game, they were just on the field way too much.
Yeah, I mean, there is a world that we haven't considered and don't want to consider because the Broncos have been so good in figuring out a way to win every week. There's a world where if this game goes sideways, suddenly you're on a short week in Kansas City. Who knows who the quarterback will be in that game because Gardner Minshew went out today. They're down to their third guy, somebody I've never heard of. But there's a world where, instead of looking at the top seed and a bye and everybody coming here, you're suddenly scrapping and clawing and make sure that fifth seed is locked up and figuring out where you're going on the road for the first playoff game, which is the one thing Sean Payton said after the Bills game in the postgame last year he wanted to avoid.
The Broncos currently are in the playoffs, but it's true. Nothing else beyond that is guaranteed. That's why today's game with the Jaguars is so big. That was our injury report presented by Flanagan Law. Focus on healing. They'll take care of the rest. It's the Fan Football Pregame Show. We are joined by our 9 News Broncos insider, Mike Kliss, next.
Will the Broncos keep their win streak alive against the Jaguars? Will Denver move one step closer to securing the top seed in the AFC? We'll react to it all in the Fan Football Postgame Show, live on game day starting at the 2-minute warning. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, your boy Stink here with my friend Bonnie at O'Mara Ford.
The holidays are my favorite time of the year. You get O'Mara's low pricing, huge discounts, and just announced 0% for 60 months.
So 5 years without paying any interest?
Not a single cent, make no down payment, and no monthly payment until next year. At O'Mara, we make it fast, fun, and easy.
Just in time for the holidays at O'Mara Ford. Stop by their showroom on 104th and I-25 or visit omeraford.com.
This holiday season, don't drink and drive. But if you are in an accident, you're in luck. Flanagan Law, where strength meets compassion. While the other guys blend in, I stand out. Look for the Shamrock. Flanagan Law, your advocate when you need it most.
Cake Mortgage Corp., Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 1734623. Licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. These days, we expect everything fast. Streaming, food delivery, even same-day shipping. So why should using the equity in your home to get cash be any different? At Cake Mortgage, we get fast. We just got a client approved for $300,000 in under 24 hours with our Cake Fast Cash program. If you're struggling with high-interest debt, roll it into one low monthly payment and save hundreds or more each month. The best part? You'll keep your current mortgage rate and only pay for what you use. Cake Mortgage. Your fresh-baked fast cash loan is ready to enjoy. So don't wait. Call 720-850-0012. That's 720-850-0012. Or visit cakehome.com for thousands of 5-star reviews.
Durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Hey everyone, this is Mark from Colorado Preferred Roofing, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas. As we wrap up another year serving the Front Range, we're grateful for every homeowner, every handshake, and every roof we've had the honor to protect. From our entire CPR family to yours, may your holidays be warm, safe, and filled with joy. Merry Christmas, Colorado, and remember, when your home needs durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Durable coverage, it starts at the top.
Colorado Preferred Roofing.
Men, it's the holidays, a time of love and joy. But if you suffer from erectile dysfunction, the season can be tough on you. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. And if you and your partner are experiencing struggles because of ED, change it up this year. Give the best gift you can give to the one you love by treating your ED and restoring your relationship. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating ED. And as a Promenic restorative health practice, we've literally seen countless thousands of relationships renewed across the nation. Plus, with treatments having success rates well over 90%, coupled with many treatment options, we can likely find the right one for you. You may even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us and give your partner the best gift you can give this season, a renewed, restored relationship. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in our office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
Happy holidays from Done Right Home Improvements. Putting off that home makeover till after the holidays? Well, good, because book your project now for install after and save 16% or get a great financing deal. DRHI.com.
Peyton Manning here. Throughout my football career, staying healthy was a big priority, but bumps, bruises, and injuries were part of the game. And for me, it's not just the clinical excellence and expertise that sets a medical team apart. It's also the compassion, kindness, and empathy they show. At Common Spirit Health, healing is quality care and human kindness. And my friends at Common Spirit are teaming up with their partners to spread human kindness and create healthy communities. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
It's a Fan Football Pregame Show. We are here at Mile High Station, taking you up to kickoff for the Broncos and the Jaguars. And we are now joined by our 9 News Broncos insider, Mike Kliss. And Mike is presented by Fitness Gallery. Mike, we'll jump right in. Ben Powers, expected to be on the field today, it looks like. And if so, what can we expect snap count from him? Starting, playing the whole game, or do you think they'll rotate him and Palczewski?
Yeah, I think what I understand, they're going to rotate those two guys. I would think Powers is going to start. I don't know that for sure, but Sean Payton talked about the transition, and I think they were going to limit Powers snaps here. I don't know if it'll be 50-50. I think you go in with one plan, and then at halftime you see who's blocking better, and you kind of go with him in the second half. So, but right now I think it's to split reps.
Mike, the best month of Bo's young career in progress right now with his best game last week here at home. What do you think has been the biggest difference for him finding this next gear?
Yeah, I think I think he and Sean Payton have kind of hunkered down and figured out the right game plan, the right plays, what Bo does well, what Bo doesn't do well. Go ahead and use his athleticism, let him throw it at different angles, and move around. He's throwing well on the move, and yet he's made some terrific throws, just ripping it when he's had time to throw in the pocket. I do think he had the right matchups, but mostly I think what flipped the switch for Bo was he's getting heavily criticized there after I think it was the Raiders game on Thursday night, and that which followed the Texans game, which was a tough game for him on a road trip on a Sunday. So he was rough on those two games, and there's a lot of criticism out there, nationally speaking. And Bo's the type who responds to that type of thing. He's a fierce competitor who says, "I'll show you." And I think he mentally just kind of really focused in. And his game has gone to another level. See what happens if he can make it 5 real good games in a row here against the Jaguars.
We are talking to our 9 News Broncos insider, Mike Kliss. Mike, it looks like Pat Bryant is going to be back out there after missing last week with a hamstring. As far as you know, is it all go ready, or is he also on a snap count?
Yeah, he's kind of on a snap count anyway as the number 4 receiver. So. But yeah, he's all go. When he missed the previous week, Sean Payton said he could have played had it been a playoff game. They wanted to give him an extra week to make him closer to 100%. He practiced full all week, and we'll see if they do monitor him a little bit. But he's been averaging right about 3 catches a game the last 5 or 6 games that he played. And I'm sure that's what he'll wind up with again today.
Mike, the defense has been a little bit more vulnerable than what we expected since the bye week. In last week, Sternad and Brandon Jones both go out in the first half of that game. What did you see with the Broncos having to adjust from that point, and how do you expect them to adjust going forward?
Yeah, they played much better in the second half than they did the first half, so there was an adjustment to losing those 2 players. P.J. Block played real well on the back end. I think he got taken out, as the last line of support against the, Josh Jacobs 40-yard touchdown run. But otherwise, he played real well. Sternad had been, ever since Greenlaw getting healthier, Sternad's snap count on defense had gone down to about a handful. And so, but he was invaluable on special teams. So I think it'll be more the same. They're going to be challenged with Trevor Lawrence and Etienne, who's really for Jacksonville. This is going to be a test for Vance Joseph. And, the Denver D is legit with that pass rush. And they're going to need that pass rush to bother Trevor Lawrence today because he's got one hot hand.
And, Mike, it's been kind of rare this year for the Broncos to be the lesser of the quote-unquote disrespected teams in the game. But Jaguars, they're feeling it. They're feeling like nobody's giving them any credit. They feel like, they're being overlooked, under the radar, not looked at as a legitimate contender. How do you think the Broncos are the Broncos looking at them? I mean, obviously the Broncos are taking them seriously. But how different is it to see the other team being the one coming in to prove that they're the contender?
Yeah, Jacksonville's a team I haven't watched.
Right.
There's 32 teams, and I know from the box scores they were playing well, and the highlights they were playing well. But Jacksonville's not a team that's on your radar. They've been bad for a long time. Number one, it's a small market. It's hard to catch any of their games. But yeah, they're. You keep winning, you wind up getting more visibility, and you get more people talking. That's just a process of, gaining attention. And I think that's really, to your first point about the Broncos, I think that's what's happened to them this year is they're kind of a Johnny-come-lately in large respect. They had 9 years without a playoff, 8 years without a winning season. They finally won, got in the playoffs last year as the 7th seed, got beat pretty good in the first round, so no one was really paying attention to them coming into this season. As the season has gone on, people have. Same deal with Jacksonville. I tell you what, if Jacksonville wins this game, they'll get all the attention they want.
Yeah.
If they lose, then, the public that's ignored them or say, show me when you're ready.
Mike, Trevor Lawrence had shown more bust than boom as a consensus number one overall pick, but I think it's becoming more and more clear that he came into the league and was given Urban Meyer and then Doug Peterson, but now with a right coach in Liam Cohen and a new scheme, things have completely changed for what was once a can't-miss prospect. Are you buying that Trevor Lawrence can still be that elite-tier can't-miss prospect guy, or is this more of a blip on the radar?
Yeah, no, I've always kind of liked Trevor Lawrence, and when I saw him as a freshman at Clemson, I thought he was the greatest quarterback prospect as far as NFL goes since Andrew Luck. And before Andrew Luck, I thought the best prospect was Peyton Manning, and before Peyton Manning, I thought the best quarterback prospect was John Elway. And so I kept waiting for Lawrence to show up. And, those three head coaches that you mentioned, I'd have bet on Urban Meyer and Doug Peterson before I would have Liam Cohen. But Cohen turned out to be the answer. And he's and the reason is Cohen is, he comes from the Sean McVay tree and the Kyle Shanahan tree and the Kubiak and the Mike Shanahan and all that, however, you want to go back to the original tree. That type of offense and those type of coaches, the way they coach quarterbacks. And so Cohen has done a heck of a job. He won't get Coach of the Year, again, because people haven't been paying attention to him or the Jaguars. Vrabel, I think, is going to win it. Ben Johnson should finish second and Cohen third. But Cohen's done a heck of a job with the Jaguars and specifically with Trevor Lawrence.
But, Mike, we got to ask the question. If Sean Payton goes 15-2 with 2 last-second walk-off field goals as his losses, why isn't he Coach of the Year?
He's the coach of 3 years. That's why. He's the coach of the last 3 years. It's what you do in your first year is who wins these things, generally speaking. Vrabel had back-to-back. He inherited a team who went back-to-back 4-13. And, here they are. We'll see how they finish. But, that's as the leader right now would have to be Vrabel for how he's turned this job around in 1 year. Sean Payton turned the team around basically in 2, but really turned them around in 3. I mean, if Sean Payton might be the Super Bowl winning coach, but as far as an award, voting, I think it's going to be Vrabel or Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson has just been phenomenal, how he turned around the Bears in such a quick time.
Well, Mike, I think Broncos country would gladly take no Coach of the Year with a Super Bowl trophy. So if that's how it turns out, we will happily take that. Mike, thank you so much.
Well, yeah, the Coach of the Year is the one that wins the Super Bowl.
That's exactly right.
They just don't. They give the award out before the playoffs, or vote on it before the playoffs.
Right.
No doubt Peyton, but it's a timing thing, and he's in year 3 turning this program around, and a couple others are doing it in 1 year.
That's exactly right. Mike, thank you so much. Have a great week. We'll talk to you Christmas Day, Broncos Chiefs.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
That was our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Klis, presented by Fitness Gallery. We're getting close to kickoff. Broncos Jaguars, keys to the game and predictions. We do that next.
Since 1985, Poppy's has been South Denver's neighborhood gathering place where familiar faces, great meals, and hospitality come together. Craving tender, slow-roasted prime rib? That's the house specialty, and we've got it every night. Looking to unwind? Stop in for happy hour from 2 to 6 for unbeatable drink and appetizer specials. And don't miss our weekend brunch served every Saturday and Sunday. Come see what Denver has known for years. Poppy's is the place to meet.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Hey, bro, weirdest thing is happening at the game. This guy sitting next to me says, "You're our good luck charm." Every time I crack a Bud Light, we score a touchdown. Now his entire family wants to buy me Bud Lights. I think I'm some kind of a football prophet. Talk soon. The team needs me.
Anything for Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket ahead of the holidays. That's possible when you call American Financing. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and credit card rates are insane, in the 20s or even 30s. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt with rates in the low 5s. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and save money every month, all without upfront fees. Their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise without having to change jobs. Call now before it's too late at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000, or visit them online at AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5s start at 6.196% for well-qualified buyers. Call 303-695-7000 for details about credit costs and terms.
So Pure Talk just had their best year ever and asked me if I'd like to thank their customers on their behalf for being so awesome. I said sure. It's important to say thanks, especially this time of year, which is why, as one of their many satisfied customers, I should probably thank Pure Talk first for keeping their customer service in this country and for providing hundreds of American jobs. I appreciate that. I also appreciate their Roundup program, which makes it easy to support America's Warrior Partnership and join the fight against veteran suicide. And I love that Pure Talk donated 1,000 hand-sewn Made in America flags to veterans around Independence Day. And of course, I really appreciate their generous support of my own foundation, MicroWorks, and their commitment to help us train the next generation of skilled workers. Having said all that, it's now my pleasure, on behalf of everyone at Pure Talk, to thank you sincerely for choosing to do business with an American wireless company that actually stands for something. And one more thing. Merry Christmas.
Live from Mile High Station, it's the Fan Football Pregame Show on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Presented by White Claw. Previewing today's matchup, here's John Davis and Chad Andrus.
We are about, 20 minutes away from kickoff. Broncos-Jaguars, big game today. Another tough test for the Broncos. No matter who the Broncos beat this year, they have an easy schedule, according to all the haters. Yet, they've continually played top quarterbacks, top team. Just because a team's not the number one seed doesn't mean you don't have quality wins. So, the Broncos win today. Does everybody revisionist history again and talk about the Jaguars are overrated? But the Broncos, they're in the playoffs, but nothing after that is decided right now between the 1 seed and the AFC West. Look like we won't have any more clarity on that after this morning's games.
No, thanks to the Chargers. They're hammering the Cowboys 34-17. They've outscored Dallas 34-10 since the Cowboys went down and scored right away early in this game. So that means the Chargers are keeping their hopes alive to not only win the division, but even potentially the 1 seed in the AFC. And because of that final game with the Chargers coming here, the Broncos can't clinch anything, with the games sandwiched in between for both of them. The difference is the Chargers play Houston next week, right, which is a very difficult opponent, while the Broncos are on a short week in Kansas City. So that's the game of utmost importance here. Around the rest of the league, Buffalo's leading in Cleveland 23-20 and has the ball, trying to close that one out under 3 minutes in terms of the AFC. Kansas City lost Gardner Minshew. So Chris Oladokun from South Dakota State is playing quarterback for the Chiefs, and they're losing to the Titans 23-9. Bengals are hammering the Dolphins 45-21. That is your AFC early games. The NFC is really not too entertaining, other than Tampa Bay, Carolina tied at 20, approaching the 2-minute warning in that one. Saints leading the Jets 19-6.
What a game.
Yeah, as good as the Vikings and the Giants. 16-13 with Minnesota on top in that one, and then everything else is coming up later. And then interesting tonight with New England and Baltimore on Sunday Night Football will be one to definitely keep an eye on as well when we're talking about seeding and playoffs.
And with that, Kansas City, Chris, I don't want to be mean. How do you say his name?
I believe it's Chris Oladokun.
Oladokun. Probably going to be the quarterback because it's a Thursday night game with the Broncos and the Chiefs.
I don't know why Minshew left.
Right.
So I don't know if it was concussion, if it was another injury, I don't know what it was, right? I'm confident in saying it wasn't 2 personal fouls.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't ejected. Yeah.
But I don't know why he left. Look, the Chiefs, this is something to make note of. If you've ever been down here at Mile High Station for our pregame show and going up to the Bronco game, all the games are on different TVs around the building. The Chiefs are so irrelevant right now, we can't even see a screen with their game on. So that is how irrelevant the Chiefs are at this point in the season. So take a little holiday cheer in that, Broncos country.
And the Broncos got them Thursday. Be interesting to see who the quarterback is on that game. But the Broncos got to play the Jags today. It is looking like it's going to go down to the wire here in the AFC. No matter how injured they are, Jim Harbaugh's team will not go away. The Chargers and Broncos, the 2 best teams in the AFC, might be in the AFC West right now. If the Chargers are in any of the other 3 divisions, they're probably leading those divisions and going to get a home playoff game. They just happen to play in the AFC West with the Broncos. So then we get to the Broncos-Jags game today. Back-to-back weeks, Green Bay and Jacksonville. I get that they're home games. These are tough games. Back-to-back weeks. So it's our keys to the game, Broncos-Jaguars. I'm going to start us off, Chad. My key to the game, and we had Mike DiRocco, ESPN reporter for the Jaguars, on earlier. He talked about if there's suspect anywhere with the offensive line, it's in the middle. If Zach Allen's last name was Watt, they'd be talking about him as Defensive Player of the Year the last 2 years. This is a game where he wreaks havoc on Trevor Lawrence with the Broncos win. I think he still leads the league in quarterback hits. I think Zach Allen getting in there through the middle, because when you come up through the middle with pressure and it's quick, they can't see. They can't even get rid of the ball, the quarterback. They either get sacked or it's this hurried throwaway or possibly even a fumble with Trevor Lawrence. So my first key to the game is Zach Allen, pressure in the middle, and make them focus so much on Zach Allen and DJ Jones have an opportunity to get through there as well.
Yeah, that's a huge one, and Jacksonville even acknowledging that, right? Like you said, with Mike DiRocco pointing that out, that they've had problems protecting up the middle, and it's a cause for concern today. He thought the game would ride on that particular issue, is can they protect up the middle? I don't think they're going to be able to. So I agree with you on that. And also, it doesn't provide a natural escape lane for the quarterback. When you see pressure coming from one side, the quarterback can naturally run away from it to the other side. Up the middle, you have to make a decision to go one way or the other, and it makes it a tougher play. A lot of times you're flushed out left if you're a right-handed quarterback. It makes it a harder throw, those types of things. So, yes, 100% agree with you on that one.
And with that, you can flush them into the edge rush as well. If Benito or Jonathan Cooper's there, you can create one of those guys
or
collapsing.
flush them to the side Surtan's on.
Yeah.
Good luck. My first key to the game, and I really do think this is important. It doesn't sound like it's the biggest thing in the world, but it has proven to rear its ugly head at times in Sean Payton's 2+ seasons here, almost the end of 3, where sometimes they just go away from what they've been doing or what has worked well for no reason at all whatsoever. Don't do that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Continue to play with 2 tight ends. Continue to let Mercedes Lewis block. Continue to play with a fullback and 2 running backs. Continue to play with the jumbo package, especially now since Ben Powers is back and Palczewski can be that extra offensive lineman. Keep doing all of that stuff. Your quarterback is playing the best he's played in his short career, so don't change any of it, regardless of what Jacksonville presents with zone coverages or any type of pressure they apply.
I'm going to bring up a name. I know it's a name you want to talk about in this segment as well. So I'm going to start it because it's one of my keys to the game. Today it's going to be R.J. Harvey in the screen game. I think with the way they like to create pressure, letting them pursue, let them hurry, and then it's that the guys waiting there with a lot of field. They're really good at stopping the run in Jacksonville. So the way you kind of get them to back off of that is beat them when they get aggressive. R.J. Harvey's proven to be a very capable pass catcher. He can make things happen when he has the ball. So today to combat that hurt, the pressure that the Jags like to bring, and also kind of back them off on jumping routes, on interceptions, R.J. Harvey in the screen game. I know Broncos fans don't want to see that. I'm not talking about the quick one where it's designed. It's more so let them over pursue, and then you've got him wide open. So R.J. Harvey is a pass catcher today, to me, is a key to the game for the Broncos to beat the Jaguars.
Yeah, and it's exactly where I was going to go as well. I'll go as far as saying we've got a wheel route touchdown for R.J. Harvey today.
Yep.
Out of the backfield, down the sideline. Jacksonville plays a ton of zone. They've got a bunch of eyes on the quarterback, and they got a bunch of eyes on where guys are going in spots. But that player releasing out at the last second, you have to react to, and he's too fast. R.J. Harvey is going to have a big play on either one of those real wheel routes or one of those short plays out of the backfield.
Yeah, so hopefully they can, because while he's not Emmitt Smith running the ball, R.J. Harvey is established, I can be on the field and continually find ways to contribute. Keys to the game.
The other one is showing up against this zone defense. In addition to the screen game and the running back, it's got to be the tight end. And it's got to be Evan Ingram. So go ahead and play those 2 tights and play those jumbo packages, but use your guy to sit down soft in that zone and find those holes right in the middle of the field. And those 7, 8, 9-yard gains, 12-yard gains, just pound him with it. Sledgehammer over and over and over, because he's a guy who's big enough and strong enough where he can get out there, turn around, get that quick release, that pass, boom, you're moving the chains. You're continuing to drive the ball down the field. He is the easy outlet to sit down and find a hole in that zone.
And it's something we've talked about a lot. I like that with Ingram. When you get really good and you're coached really well, it's each week, I always bring it up, it's what do we got to do to win this week? Where does the matchup dictate? Ingram today, the matchup dictates that's a guy that can be successful for the Broncos to beat the Jaguars and move the ball on offense. Because once the tight end gets rolling and that matchup nightmare starts to get in the head of the defense, you've really started to kind of chip away at them mentally, physically, keep them on the field with all of that. So I really like that. Here's one today. The Jaguars, I don't know if it's coincidence. It's probably a little bit of both. Since they got Jacoby Myers from the Raiders, that offense seems to have turned around. They had Travis Hunter, so to me it was always like, well, you lost a top guy, so you're replacing a top guy. As much as we love Travis Hunter, Jacoby Myers is much more established in the NFL, kind of knows what he's doing out there a little bit more. But we're familiar with him. This is not a player that the Broncos and Denver Broncos country hasn't seen. This isn't anything like that. Like, it's like, okay, how do we do this? Pat Surtain shut him down. Take away this guy that's getting all this credit for turning them around. Make Trevor Lawrence go, well, my safety blanket is no longer available today. Now what do I do? And they have other talent out there, but if his rhythm's thrown off with this rapport built with Jacoby Myers, and they have to try to win another way in the passing game, that's where I think you can get those mistakes out of Trevor Lawrence.
I'll play devil's advocate here. They were familiar with Josh Jacobs last week.
Yeah, but
that didn't work out too well for them.
But they never could stop him. They could stop Jacoby
Myers had some big games too as a Raider. He's the key that makes it all work for Trevor Lawrence. And for me, it's make Trevor Lawrence beat you. Because I'm willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt because of how much of a can't-miss prospect he appeared to be. It was a consensus opinion, and he fell flat on his face due to the coaching and the organizational dysfunction. He's shown signs of being that guy over the last month to 6 weeks, but make him prove it again today. Just like Jacksonville is going to make Bo Nix prove it again today, make Trevor Lawrence beat you again today and make him do it when it's not Jacoby Myers. So when you put pressure in that guy's face, make him prove to you that he can step up and complete 65% of his throws, which I don't think he'll be able to do, and make him prove to you that he's not going to turn the ball over, which I don't think he'll be able to do.
And this one comes on the secondary a lot. We saw Jordan Love at times last week just have nowhere to go with the ball, and that became a big problem. Do you take away, if you had to, going into this, you're the defensive, if you're Vance Joseph, is it we got to stop Trevor, we got to stop ETN, or is it we just play our game and we should be able to stop both of them?
I think you just play your game. I think they got a little bit too cute and got away from it last week, worried about what Jordan Love could do against man coverage. Play your game and see what happens. Because I will take the Broncos defense and what they've proven over the course of the season, and Vance Joseph calling it with pressure up the middle against Lawrence and ATN if I've got to pick one of those two sides.
One other thing I want to see, key to the game, and it really revolves around Trevor Lawrence, because if you can get to him, I think you can get the rest of that team to kind of fall around him. I think you can kind of just take it out. If Trevor's not cooking, I think the rest of the team can kind of be like, well, what do we do now? Because they're in complete control with that. The Jaquan McMillan disguise blitz is something to where the other team doesn't see him. They blitz, and then suddenly he appears out of nowhere, and he's coming in. If you can get Trevor Lawrence, especially on the blind side with that, I think you can get that ball to pop out. At the very least, I can think you can get him to worry the ball's going to pop out and concede the sack. So another one today is not only Zach Allen up the middle, but when that's working, now you're going, uh-oh. And then Jaquan, who's proven very effective in that he can get in there and whether he bat the ball down or sack the quarterback, maybe force a turnover. So if I'm Vance, I think we see the return of that. I don't know when he does it, a big third down, first half, second half, but at some point we need to see that from Jaquan McMillan today.
Yeah, wherever it comes from, I think that's the big difference is this team, Jacksonville, has been vulnerable against defenses that apply pressure, and some of those defenses just apply it from one or two particular areas like the edges. That's what Mike DiRocco told us about against the Houston game, and they were still successful in doing so. The Broncos can bring it from anywhere and everywhere on any given play, and it is relentless. And it's not just with Benito and Cooper out there. It's I'm calling on Jonah Ellis is going to have a big play today. He will have either a sack or a hurry or force a fumble. He will do something that is going to cause hell for Trevor Lawrence today.
One last quick one. Don't lose this on special teams today, because the Jaguars, they're pretty good on special teams.
And the Broncos have been better as of late.
Yeah, they've been better, so that's a big one for me.
Okay, but what if you lose it on special teams because Cam Little kicks a 73-yard field goal?
You tip your hat at that point. You say, hey, man, you can kick that 70 yards. What are you going to do on that? Don't let him
Home
get in that
field
position.
disadvantage because you got him kicking here?
Yeah, hey, we've seen Janikowski do it. The most unathletic guy, but he was a kicker. But
he was out there trying 70 yards from some reports in warm-ups. It was mixed results. They said distance was not a problem. It was just whether or not he was hitting uprights, going a little wide. I don't think distance will be the problem if there's a 70-plus yarder tried.
And now we get to our predictions. Alex, what do you got for us?
I like the Broncos in this game. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get pressured and rushed a lot more than he's used to in this one. Give me the Broncos. I've changed my mind a little bit. I flip-flopped. Give me them to win this 30-23.
30-23. I like it. Chad, I'll go next. I think they bring the pressure today. I think the Broncos want to go out and establish, we're here, you're up and coming. And I think they want to really impose that on the Jaguars today. The Jaguars are a good team. I think they do keep it close. I think it's competitive a lot. I do think the Broncos ultimately pull away in this one, 27-20 with a win over the Jags.
I think we get another banger, a lot like we had last week, and I think it really goes down deep into the fourth quarter. But as I mentioned earlier, if you're picking against the Broncos right now, you're just crossing your fingers and hoping you pick the right time where history tells you a team should lose when there's not real evidence to tell you they're going to lose. I think they win again, and it's 31-30.
31-30. Oh, you're making us real nervous going into the Christmas week. I could see that happening. It's a good Jaguars team. Alex, behind the glass, thank you. We got Rock and Roll Brian down here. Join us for the Fan Football Postgame Show starting at the 2-minute warning.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by